Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into something so fundamental you probably don't even think about it anymore, the point-and-click world of your computer. Based on the fantastic research of Dr. Sudheendra S G, we're going to break down the Graphical User Interface, or GUI. You know, if you've ever wondered why a computer just makes sense to use, well, this is where that story begins.
This quote, it absolutely nails it. It perfectly captures the giant leap we're talking about. I mean, think about it. It's the difference between having to memorize a whole dictionary just to ask for a glass of water versus just walking into a room and pointing at it. One requires study, the other is just human.
And this is what it looked like in practice. Before the GUI, computers were this world of blinking cursors and cryptic text commands. You had to learn a whole new secret language. It was a huge wall for most people. The GUI just completely smashed that wall down. It took this need to remember a command and replaced it with the simple, intuitive ability to recognize an icon. And that one little shift, well, it changed everything.
Now, you might think this was all about making computers look pretty, adding some nice icons, but it goes so much deeper. The GUI was actually born from this really profound vision of technology as a partner, a tool to actually augment our own human intelligence.
What's just wild is how far back this story really goes. We're talking decades before the first personal computers were in our homes. Back in 1962, a guy named Douglas Engelbart was already dreaming about how computers could help us solve the world's biggest problems. And just a few years later, he actually demonstrated a working mouse, Windows, even hyperlinks. And then, a team of geniuses over at Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center, or PARC, took those ideas and basically wrote the rulebook for modern computing.
And this was their masterstroke. The folks at Xerox PARC had this light bulb moment. They asked, what if we just make the digital world look and act like the physical one? I mean, you already know what a folder is. You know what a piece of paper is. You know how a trash can works. By creating this desktop metaphor, they made the computer instantly familiar. It's the reason a kid can walk up to a computer today and just start using it. No instruction manual needed. It speaks a language they already know.
Okay, so how do you actually build one of these things? What are the ingredients? Well, Dr. SG's research shows us there's a surprisingly simple but powerful recipe that became the gold standard for decades. It's known by the acronym WIMP. Now, each of these elements on its own is useful, but the magic happens when you put them all together. Windows lets you multitask. Icons give you things to interact with. Menus show you what's possible. And the pointer? Well, the pointer is basically your hand in this digital space, letting you directly touch and move things. It's these four things working in concert that create the language of the desktop we still speak today.
But here's the really crucial part that makes a GUI feel, well, alive. It's not just a static painting. An old-school program would just run from start to finish and then stop. A GUI is different. It's always on, always listening, always waiting. And what's it waiting for? It's waiting for you. It's waiting for an event.
And this is the simple little dance that makes it all work. First, you do something. You click a mouse, you press a key. That's the event. The system is constantly listening for that. When it hears it, it finds the specific little piece of code designed to respond to that exact event, that's the handler, and runs it. This little loop, event, listener, handler, is happening thousands of times a minute, creating that smooth, responsive feel we take for granted. So you've got this amazing, revolutionary idea born in a research lab. That's one thing, but getting it out of the lab and into millions of homes, offices, and classrooms, that's a whole different ballgame. And this is where the story really takes off.
Now, one of the key takeaways from Dr. SG's research is this. Apple didn't invent the GUI, but boy did they master how to sell it to the world. The Lisa in '83 was a bit of a pricey false start, but the Macintosh in 1984, that was the game changer. It made the GUI affordable and cool. And then, about 10 years later, Microsoft's Windows 95 came along and boom, put a GUI with a start menu and a taskbar on basically every desk on the planet.
And baked into these new user-friendly systems were two other killer ideas. First, WYSIWYG. It's a bit of a mouthful, but what you see is what you get meant that for the first time, the document on your screen looked exactly how it would print. This single idea created the entire desktop publishing industry. And then you have Cut, Copy, and Paste, another gem from Xerox PARC that made rearranging text as easy as using scissors and glue.
Which brings us pretty much up to today. The core principles of the GUI are literally everywhere. But the story's not over, not by a long shot. Now the whole conversation is evolving. It's about making these interfaces work for absolutely everyone.
And this really brings the whole mission of the GUI full circle. Remember, the whole point from the very beginning was to make computers more accessible. Today, that mission has expanded to mean true inclusivity. A truly great interface has to work for people with visual impairments or motor challenges, and for all the educators out there, this is so critical. It's about making sure the digital tools we bring into our classrooms are empowering every single student and not leaving anyone behind.
So, does all this mean the old command line is obsolete? Not at all. It's really about the right tool for the right job. A GUI is unbeatable for discoverability. You can just click around and explore to see what a program can do. But for an expert who needs to automate a really complex task, a few words typed into a command line can be way more powerful and efficient. They each have their place.
And all of this leaves us with one final, fascinating question. That desktop idea was pure genius for its time. It made sense, but now we live in a world of talking to our devices, of swiping and gesturing, of virtual and augmented reality. The old desktop metaphor doesn't quite fit anymore, does it? So, what's the next great metaphor? What's the simple, powerful idea that will make the technology of tomorrow feel as natural and intuitive as pointing and clicking does for us today?